This is the fourth tutorial on simulating a water resources system that includes a reservoir, a water demand, and some changing inflow. In this fourth tutorial, what we're going to do is add some logic to the water demand that allows for a curtailment to occur when the water level drops down below a threshold point. If you look at this chart, what you see in the red line is the water supply being delivered from the reservoir. If I zoom in, then you see there's a period here in which we have a low flow curtailment, and this occurs when the water level drops down below an elevation of 1750.3. So this is the logic we're going to implement in this tutorial. All right, so what I'll do is I'll start at the point where we left off in the last tutorial, which is tutorial number 3. You can download these models from our website. Okay, so what we want to do is go into the container called water supply, and we just need to add some logic that allows us to trigger the curtailment on and off. So I'll enter into the water supply container here, and currently we have this selector element called the irrigation demand that turns on and off, with the on being 250 liters per second, and it's determined by the seasonality of the irrigation period. So what I want to do is add another status element here that tells us when to turn the curtailment on and off. Status element is a really good way to do that kind of thing. So I'm just going to copy and paste this element, and I'm going to put it down here, and I'll call this curtail on. True if the irrigation demand is curtailed. Okay, so how do we trigger the curtailment? What we need to do is we need to determine whether or not the water surface elevation in the reservoir has dropped below a certain point. That tells us when the curtailment needs to be turned on. So first of all, we need to define that threshold point, which I've already mentioned is 1750.3 meters. I need to use a data element to define that point. So I'll go up here to inputs, select data, put that here, and I'll call this the low reservoir level. And this is the level that triggers curtailment when water level drops below this point. Okay, and this has units of meters, and we'll change this to 1750.3. Okay, the next step is to define the curtailment demand in liters per second, and that's similar to this element here, so I'm just going to copy and paste that one. Copy and paste. I need to move some things over here. Need a little bit more room. There we go. I will call this one curtailed irrigation demand, or for short, curtailed demand. And this is the flow capacity of the irrigation demand when in curtailment. I will change this to 25 liters per second. Okay, so now we have the triggering threshold here, and we have the curtailed demand there. Now we are ready to make the changes to the logic. The first thing we're going to do is work on this curtailment on status element. And as we saw in the previous tutorial, or actually it was I think the second tutorial, we developed the first status element here, season. It will be similar using these two triggers. The trigger on